Viking Central, Brett, back in the building. I'm sorry. Took about a month or two off. Just had a kid, fourth kid um, of that. So just want to take some time off and honestly recoup a little bit, and just try to get everything down here at home. Put this on the back burner for a little bit, but kind of back at it now, guys. I want to talk about these kind of recent comments made by Cris Carter. Which is pretty interesting. I'm getting some heat on X. He's gotten called out a little bit for it. So a lot of people, are standing behind him too, because obviously he's a legend. He's a Minnesota Vikings legend. Absolutely love Cris Carter. Um, Never got to watch him play much, but I've seen the highlights. I know what kind of player he is, and he likes to talk football, and he does it well, and he's not afraid to say what he feels, and I respect that. Um, I don't want anything sugarcoated, and I really do think that's fair from Cris Carter. Again, Minnesota Vikings legend, Cris Carter, wide receiver. So he went on with Kay Adams here. Oh, was it yesterday or the day before? This has been marinating a little bit, but just talking about JJ McCarthy, how he's looked the last couple weeks. Obviously, the gritty into the end zone was kind of Kay's opener a little bit, which I don't think helped McCarthy's case, and I don't think it put Cris in a good mood because he's used to playing with these hardened, hard-nosed, uh, you know, tough quarterbacks from the '90s and the '80s, and honestly, today's game doesn't really mirror that anymore. JJ McCarthy's going to gritty into the end zone, and that's just what he's going to do. Caleb Williams is going to paint his fingernails. Um, Whoever else is doing whatever else. I mean, these guys have different personalities nowadays. They're not like they were back, 30, 40 years ago, and that's just the way it is. But I just want to talk about a little bit. I've thrown some tweets out. I've talked about a little bit myself, but yeah, I just think it's a little bit weird on Chris's end, and especially when he continued to say the word "stuck" when it came to JJ McCarthy. I watched a 2-minute clip. That's all it was on her social media, and he continued to say, "We're stuck with JJ McCarthy in 2026. We're stuck with him as our quarterback. We're stuck with him, so we might as well try to make it work." You're not stuck with the guy. Especially with KOC. Like, if he really does want to make a change, he's going to make a change. Our front office probably would not be afraid to do it either. I think he's going to be our quarterback in 2026, but I would not call it stuck. I think that's unfair to JJ. So it was just been really interesting to see how he felt. And I think he sent out a couple posts on X about JJ before and how he's not played well and how bad it's been and everything like that. So it was just odd to see, in my opinion, because especially after the last 2 weeks. If JJ was playing like he did versus the Falcons, versus the Packers, versus the Bears, and that's continued up, obviously I think then I think it's more deserved. But the last 2 weeks, I think 108 quarterback grade in the last 2 weeks combined, or it's probably even higher than that. 6 touchdowns to 1 turnover. The 1 turnover was a tipped ball. He made the right read. He threw into the pressure. And unfortunately, defense made a play, and it was an interception. But after that, he was pretty much flawless. Now, the accuracy hasn't been great, the whole time. It hasn't been great. But it's gotten better, gradually better. The decision-making has gotten better. He leads the NFL in big-time throw rate, 7.7%, tied with Matthew Stafford. He has a huge arm. He can make all the throws. We got to work on the mechanics. I love how everyone on social media now is a expert in mechanics for some reason now. So that's interesting to look like. Yes, I know the mechanics are bad and very unorthodox. That's probably the best way to put it. Unorthodox Skull, Viking Jerome 2438 on YouTube. Appreciate you guys hopping on. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Aiden, I'll get to your question here in a second as well. But, it's, I don't know. He's like an ambassador to the Vikings organization. He's, goes to a lot of Vikings games, goes to the Vikings training camp. Like the negativity, I, you know what? I don't need it in my life. I'm sorry. He is very blunt. He's very honest. That's the way Chris Carter is. And, I respect it. But, we just don't need it. This is a nice cap. You got the same one? Rocket, baby. Yeah, it's nice and comfortable, good quality. Love the logo on it. But he's just flat out honest. And again, I respect it. But, then he made a comment like, oh, we've lowered our standards to 150 yards in a game. Is good. Okay, how about him making strides, him not turning the ball over, him throwing or having 6 touchdowns the last 2 weeks? Um, them being 2-0 the last 2 weeks. I know it doesn't really count now, but when you have a young quarterback, everything matters. All the little things matter. And Chris probably isn't used to that. Like he would get pissed at like Dante. He'd get pissed at his quarterback. He was kind of that diva a little bit. Which is to be expected from wide receivers. We haven't seen that from Justin Jefferson. And maybe we will in the offseason. I highly doubt it because, Jettas is a team first guy. And I'm still hoping he gets that 1,000-yard season. TKS 47 says CC needs to be relevant again. Hey, kind of agree. Just saying. But it's super unfortunate. He's gotten a lot of flack, and I know the alter ego thing has not helped his cause. And Chris mentioned that on the podcast with Kay as well. Like they don't want the alter ego stuff, and it's just kind of odd. He acts like a kid. He plays like a kid. Well, Chris, he is a kid. He's 22 years old. He could still be in college damn near right now. I mean, he's going to learn. He's going to grow. He's going to learn to probably put that to the side until, he deserves to use an alter ego, which, to be honest, I wouldn't mind if he never used it again. But the disrespect, the harping towards JJ McCarthy, just not needed from a guy like Chris Carter. That's my problem. But I did want to get to Aiden's question here as well. I got to change the color of this. I don't like it. There we go. Perfect. Do you think Brian Flores stays, or do you think we have a new DC next year? That is a good question, Aiden. I think he stays. I think he really likes it in Minnesota. I think he's kind of found a groove here as well. And he's got 2 kids, and like that's school age right now. I think that's more important than people think, especially when you're a defense coordinator. Now, if he gets a head coaching offer, I could see it being different. But if it's a lateral move, him being DC here and then him being DC elsewhere, I don't think it happens. And I know Kevin O'Connell really loves Brian Flores as defense coordinator. So I can definitely see, Kevin wanting him back. And then I think the Wilfs really like him too. So I think that's very important as well, that the ownership loves him and the head coach loves him. That's the most important thing. And he's really damn good. This is a top 10 defense with a secondary that has Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers and Fabian Moreau as your top 3 corners and a 37-year-old Harrison Smith, and you're still, making it work. Hey, I'll take Brian Flores back, and he deserves to be back. And I think he does get extended. I think he gets a new contract to return as DC, unless he gets a head coaching job. My question is, why didn't Kevin O'Connell not run this offense when the season actually mattered? Maybe because Kevin is still learning how to coach. I mean, he's probably still trying to figure some things out, having a young quarterback. This is his first year having a young quarterback. He had Kirk Cousins, and then he had Sam Darnold, who coming into the Vikings wasn't, necessarily known as a good quarterback, but he was 27 years old already and had been in the league for a long time. So I think that's, super important. So, this is JJ's first time being in this system, being in this offense, and he has struggled with injuries as well, with the ankle sprain and then the concussion. So I feel like they've never really been able to get like in a rhythm a little bit. And I think Kevin did decide to change this up because they want to get some wins under the belt. But yeah, he probably should have did this. Shit. The game after, well, like the Green Bay game or Chicago game, he should have dumbed it down a little bit. And now that we notice, the defense has kind of been playing better too because the offense has been able to, stay in the field, sustain drives. They've been able to do those things that they haven't been able to do, for quite some time. And the defense has played better for it. The run game has been better. They weren't so great versus the Cowboys, but then the pass game, opened up, got some explosives. I think he passed for a career high versus the Cowboys or near a career high. So I think everything goes hand in hand, but he should have did it, 4 or 5 weeks ago for sure, when we were still in the thick of the playoff run. That's a great question. James Turner says, I love the Vikings. I've been a fan since 1970, and I'm 71 years old. James, thanks for hopping on. I hope you see a Super Bowl here shortly. You've been a fan for, what does that make that? Test out my math here, 55 years. And you haven't even seen a Super Bowl win. And we haven't even seen a Super Bowl since the 70s, even participating in the Super Bowl. So, we're hungry for it. I know I am. But is JJ McCarthy the guy to get us there as a quarterback? I'm not giving up on him yet. But at the same time, we got to continue to see strides next week, the week after, and closing out with Green Bay. I think these next 3 weeks are super important, even though we know we're not making the playoffs. But I think it's super important to know that, we have a guy that can continue to sustain drives, continue to make big plays, continue to improve every single week, use his legs, but also, you got to stay healthy too, which I think is very important. And, at the end of the day, he's probably the most important piece to the puzzle right now. Are the Vikings going to go make a big splash here in the offseason for a quarterback? Who knows? I think we stick with JJ. That's what I would want to do. Let this thing keep marinating a little bit. And if you hit on JJ, everything's going to kind of fall into place a little bit better. We see when he plays well, we're a pretty damn good team. And I know we haven't played the best defenses the last 2 weeks, but hey, wins are wins right now in this league. And again, it's very important. So I want to talk a little bit about the Cris Carter stuff. Wanted to talk to you guys. Aiden had a couple questions and a couple guys hopped on. Aiden has one more a little bit here. No disrespect to Max Brosmer, but I would like to try to get a good backup. So if JJ misses time, we got somebody to rely on. He got to do a better job staying healthy. Yep. I agree with all those points. Max is a great third guy, great development guy, but obviously he wasn't ready, even though a lot of people say he was, but just not ready for that moment yet. He could be here in the next 2-3 years, but again, he's a development guy, and I think he can be a good backup in this league. But we do need a backup that can at least compete a little bit with JJ. And if JJ does miss a game or two here, he can come in and win ball games for you. Another thing I want to talk about Cris Carter. He said Carson Wentz got injured, and then we had to turn to JJ McCarthy. Okay, Carson Wentz was not playing any better than JJ McCarthy. And I know he was injured, but let's not pretend like Carson Wentz was, playing like Josh Allen or anything, because that was not the case. And unfortunately, he did get injured, but I think it was for the betterment of, JJ McCarthy getting back in there, no questions asked, and, just kind of going from there a little bit. And I think, again, he deserves to be the starter, especially this year. It's his first year starting. He started 8 games. Let the guy get some reps. We've seen him be better already. The accuracy has been better. He's maneuvered the pocket really well. We just got to let this thing go a little bit. And I know we don't like patience around here. We've been patient. James has been patient for 55 years, but patience is running out. I understand. But if we are patient and he does turn out being really, really, really freaking good, it was worth it. That's all I got to say. Skull. God bless.